to some degree, like, you know, it's very similar. I relate very much to the whole, like, you know, some things being a flop, some things being amazing, and you never know which. And as a songwriter,
Don't know what one it is.
you never know. That's why you just got to put out, you know, and you got to put out as much as you
Yes.
can, because you never know which is going to be the next big one, or you know, and it's funny. Like we talk about metrics again, like that. The big one, you know, may be seen by a lot of people, but you don't know if that one person was impacted by that one cricket one. You know what I mean?
Well, and
And you
that's,
never know the impact of that.
you don't ever know the impact. Like I wrote a post, I think I was like 23 when I wrote it, called 25 Things Every Woman Needs to Know. But how did I know that at 23? I didn't. And it was just a fun little list for me, and I published it, and I think I went off to like community group or something. And this thing went wildly viral, like over and over and over again. Like I will still hear from readers that are like, I found you through your 25 Things Every Woman Needs to Know list. And like, I look back on that and I'm like, what were you doing? What? Like
Yeah.
this is not the list I would form today,
Sure.
but like that was the list that went viral then. And you know, a lot of people loved it and a lot of people hated it because
Sure.
you know, I remember I got this email from this one guy that was like, my mom has been through the Cold War. Like, do you think this is what she needs to know? And I was like, no, I don't know. Like, but that's the thing about like pressing publish. And like you said, I think that like, just get yourself into the space of like practicing as much as you can. Like, I think about like, you know, like a medium like YouTube where I'm like, oh, like maybe I'll release a few YouTube videos, you know, like I think that could be a cool platform for me. But I'm kind of in this mindset of just like, okay, so like I don't think I need to buy all this fancy software to start. I don't think I need like all of these fancy gadgets. Like I just need to start. And if the content is good, then people they'll get something from it. And it's like you said, they won't comment, they might share. We don't really know, but like I get emails every single week from my Monday morning email club from people that are like, I read all of your emails and I never respond. And this is the first time I'm responding. And I'm like, okay, so if this happens every single week, there's so many more people that I can't even imagine. And if I just take my eyes off of that and just focus on doing the good work, like that's the sweet spot. And that's, I don't mean to be like getting on like my high horse or anything, but like I wish more creators would just sink deep and fall in love with the creation process. Like just do it for the creation process because that's where the gold is. Like that is where you will become yourself. You will not become yourself through growth, through platforms, through any of that stuff. You won't. It's the creation process. If you don't love the creation process, get out now. Get out now.
Yeah, it's so true. Because if it takes 10 years for you, you're going to have to create a lot for if it's going to take 10 years for you to get where you quote unquote want to go, you know, and it's hard though. As somebody that, you know, so a little bit of my story backing up. I've been a musician for about seven years. I dropped out of college 7 years ago. Almost 8 years ago now, which is wild. That being said, it took me a while. I mean, I wore so many different hats for so long, you know, working in my parents' office, you know, creating music, you know, working in an art gallery, creating music, having 20 guitar students, creating music on this, you know, like, and now at 2021 is my first year fully employed by my music. You know what I mean? So it's taken a long time. But I love the journey, but it is a very interesting, and maybe you could speak on this. It is a very interesting, it's hard sometimes to focus on the creation process when there's no income coming in. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yep.
And it's like, okay, I just want to get to this point where blank, you know, but it's so funny, man. I've at least learned, and I'd love to know your thoughts, is like, even when we get, there's always the next blank. There's always the next, you know, I just need to get to here and then blank. I'll be happy with this. But it's always, at least if you're a go-getter, like my personality, it seems like your personality is like, there's always going to be the next line that you want to get to. And that can lead to constant unhappiness.
Totally. And that's where I think like it is important, like to be in love with that creation process. And like, I don't like, from the very beginning of when I started, I don't know why, I think I had some appreciation for the long haul. That's one of the things where it's like, it's really hard within our culture to talk about the long haul because people want the overnight success. And like, we're living in this weird culture where like you literally could make a TikTok video and be viral overnight. Like the algorithms set you up for that. But here's the thing. It is not going to make you any bit happier. It is not going to fill that crater within your soul. It's just not. And so I think it almost is like, whereas like, I kind of had the opposite in the sense of like, I graduated from college, I started leaving these letters, and then I did an audition for TED that ended up being a TED Talk. And overnight, my life flipped upside down. I went from like, I'm doing my thing and I've got a small audience to like over 1 million views in a 24-hour period.
Wow.
And like TED is like TED, you know?
Yeah.
And I had agents reaching out to me. I had literary agents. I had people trying to buy my life rights. I was all of a sudden like booking speaking engagements all over the country. Like it was exactly what any person would say they wanted, because that is the stuff that means that you quote unquote matter. And I'll be very honest, like I became addicted to it. Like I still had a good heart, a good head on my shoulders, but like I was ready for the next impressive thing and the next impressive thing. And I always say that like I confused the things that God gave me as being more valuable than like God himself. And I really think that that led to the depression that I experienced in 2014. That was like life-threatening. Like I didn't know if I was coming out of it. If I had dealt with depression before in 2010, then like this needed a completely different name because it was so completely different in nature. But like doctors told me it was like a nervous breakdown. It was like so much success and so much stimulation and so many benchmarks that I wasn't taking care of myself. Like I was just packing up my suitcase, going to the next place. And so it's like, I've seen all of the stuff that's on the quote unquote mountaintop. And it's like, it will not fill you. It will not make you one bit happier. Like, it doesn't mean that that stuff isn't beautiful, but if like, that's all you're reaching for, you're going to get there and you're going to not know how to appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like, I think you can probably look back on your own journey and you can say, okay, like, I'm so thankful that this is the year that I am like full-time and doing this thing, but I'm thankful because I've seen the hustle that it took to get to this place. And like, I wish that more people talked about that hustle within the creation process or
absolutely.
You know, like, sorry.
No, continue, please. Yeah.
Like Gary Vaynerchuk always talks about like
big fan of Gary V.
And it's like, yeah, I'm a big Gary V guy.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I
didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Like,
that's funny. I didn't know that.
Yes. But he's always saying document. And it's like, that is the most compelling content that you can put out there. But it is also going to require that like you be in your work and you be in your life, you know? And like people always reach out and they're like, oh my gosh, I love just what you put out there on Instagram makes me feel like I can go and live my life. And I'm like, then you should just go, just do it. Like if you want to write, you need to sit down and write. You want to do music, you need to sit down and do music. And like, I know it can be exhausting. And there can be times where you're like, I just want to be out of this season. But like, I don't know, in those seasons, like I always look back and think like there was so much there. You know
can always see it in hindsight, right? My constant prayer is that I could see the good times in the moment rather than the good old days, right? I don't want to reflect on the good old days. I want to recognize them in the moment as they're happening.
In the moment, yeah, in the moment. And
absolutely.